Thursday, February 15th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including a robbery earlier this morning in downtown Milford, a missing snowmobiler's body found, and much more. Frank Granito will have a look at your forecast and a Nutmeg Sports update, and Donald Lang joins us later for a look back on this day in history, and he'll join me for our front page previews later on. But first, some breaking news developing in Milford this morning. Around 10:15, police reported a strong armed robbery occurred at Subway, located on 1 River Street in downtown Milford. Now, the suspect is described as a white male approximately 6 feet tall with brown hair and dark clothing. A weapon was implied but not displayed at the time, police said. Now, that suspect was last seen heading towards the train station. Police are reportedly using dogs to track that person around the train station. We'll keep you updated, and you can also follow milfordmirror.com. And in other Milford news, a basement fire displaced 3 family members from a single-family home at 64 Berwyn Street Wednesday morning in Milford. Fire dispatchers received a 911 call about 8:48 a.m. from one of the occupants who reported a large amount of smoke in the basement. Well, firefighters arrived and found smoke coming from the basement and first-floor areas of the house. Now, hose lines were advanced into the structure, extinguishing that blaze very quickly and confining the flames to the basement area, according to Fire Chief Anthony Fabrizi. But smoke damage, however, did extend throughout the structure. 2 family members managed to escape without injury, but one man was forced to evacuate from a second-story bedroom window due to dangerous smoke conditions. He was treated on the scene and then transported to Milford Hospital for evaluation. A Milford Red Cross representative arrived to provide assistance for that displaced family, and the Milford Fire Marshal's Division is currently investigating the cause of that fire. In other news, the body of a snowmobiler missing since mid-December was found Tuesday in Griswold, Connecticut. The Department of Energy and Environmental Protection's ENCON police responded to the Patchogue Pond after a member of the public noticed a body on the surface of the water there. Well, members of the Griswold and Jewett City Volunteer Fire Department recovered the remains of an adult male, which was then transported to the office of the Chief Medical Examiner for an autopsy. Well, that deceased man has been positively identified as 56-year-old John Dubois of Griswold, who had gone missing while snowmobiling on the pond back on December 16th. The cause of the accident remains under investigation. And Norwalk police are among local departments reassuring the public that they're working closely with schools for safety. Now, following the high school shooting in Parkland, Florida, where a shooter has killed at least 17 people, Norwalk police say they understand parents may be worried, and they will continue to work with the Norwalk Public Schools safety team and their own school resource officers in providing the safest environment possible for students and staff. Now, despite there being no school today in Norwalk, they say educators will still be at work, and school resource officers and patrol division officers will have a visible presence in and around the schools. And Hearst, Connecticut media reports that an inmate at York Correctional Institution in Niantic gave birth to a baby on Tuesday. Now, the Department of Corrections said in a statement that the circumstances that led up to that baby being born inside a cell are still under investigation. However, preliminary findings have led to 2 Yukon Health Correctional Managed Healthcare employees being told not to report to the facility for work until that investigation is completed. It said their employment status is predicated by the administration of Yukon Health Correctional Managed Health Care. Now, the Department of Correction contracts with Yukon Health for its inmate medical services. According to officials, as soon as the birth was discovered, that new mother and her baby were treated on site and immediately transported to an area hospital for further evaluation. Mother and child are reported to be in good health. Now, pregnant women at the York facility are routinely provided with appropriate prenatal care, and it is standard policy that they be transported to an outside hospital when they are in labor, according to the Corrections Department. Now, Department of Corrections Commissioner Scott Semple said in a statement, although the details of this incident are still unfolding, I cannot overstate how seriously this agency takes the health and well-being of the offender population. And in other news, HAN's Shelton Herald reports that a task force composed of local food banks announced that it received a $42,000 grant from the Valley Community Foundation to help address the issue of ongoing food insecurity in the Valley. Now, that grant, which will be spread over the next 3 years, will help fund the hiring of a consultant who will help strategize the ongoing issue, the raising of community awareness, and ultimately improving communication among the food pantries across the Valley. Now, Team Inc.'s David Morgan, who is also co-chair co-chair of the Valley Health and Human Services Food Task Council, said in part, there is a lot to be proud of in the Valley region, but there's also some areas that we really need to strengthen. He said we really need to be much more strategic on how we partner with not-for-profits, how we partner with municipalities, and how we partner with school districts, as well as businesses. He said that this is everybody's call to action when we talk about food insecurity. Now, that council, whose purpose is to address food scarcity for families and individuals within the Valley, held a press conference on Monday to announce the receipt of that $42,000 grant and how it plans to use it in the near future. There's more on that story at sheltonherald.com. But let's turn it over to Frank Granito now for a look at your forecast. Frank.
All right, thank you, Kate. We're looking at a mild day around the county. Mostly cloudy skies expected through the afternoon. Temperatures sitting in the low 50s, a little bit of fog still out there from this morning. Clouds will continue overnight. We'll see mostly cloudy skies and occasional rain starting late. That will carry into Friday morning. A couple of showers tomorrow morning, should clear out by the afternoon. Things will start to cool down later in the day. Temperatures right around 50 for the first half, dropping all the way down into the low 20s overnight. Going to be clear and much colder out. Partly sunny skies on Saturday. Chilly out with temperatures in the low 30s. And then Saturday night, we could see a couple more inches of snow coming our way. Anywhere between 2 to 4 right now expected from Saturday night through Sunday morning. But we'll have plenty more on that tomorrow. For now, we'll go back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. And we're going to step out for a break. When we come back, get a look back on this day in history with Donald Eng, a Nutmeg Sports Update with Frank, and more local news coming up after this.
Voted Best Gourmet to Go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077.
Yeah, Dad.
Kyle, I need you to update the financial statements.
I took care of that yesterday, Dad.
Mac, I need you to get those deals approved.
They're all done, Mr. Miller.
Jeff, I need you to order lunch for the meeting. They can't do a thing without me.
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
I'm never going to retire.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet, 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
Welcome back to this February 15th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. Time to get a look back on this day in history with Donald Eng. Don.
Well, Kate, apologies in advance to anyone who speaks Russian, but first we're going to go back to 1898. The battleship USS Maine explodes and sinks in Havana Harbor. Now, ostensibly, it was there on a friendly visit, but the Maine was also there to protect U.S. interests during the Cuban revolt against Spain. A court of inquiry determined that the likely cause was a mine, and though it did not directly blame Spain, public opinion led to a 3-month war later on that year that resulted in the country's first overseas territories. The U.S. got Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines as a result of the Spanish-American War. Modern investigators have placed blame for the explosion on bituminous coal that the Maine used. That's known to emit fire damp gas, which tends to be explosive. 1903, now 115 years ago, Brooklyn candy shop owner Morris Mictum places 2 stuffed bears in his shop window with a sign saying that they are Teddy's bears. They were named after President Theodore Roosevelt, who the year before on a hunting trip had spared the life of a bear that his guides had tied to a tree, of all things. The facts are a bit fuzzy as far as the bear's age and state of health, but the story did get covered widely. The teddy bear soon became so popular that Mictum converted his candy shop to a toy shop and then founded the Ideal Toy Company, which would last 90 years. Among other things, the Ideal Toy Company introduced America to Betsy Wetsy, the Mousetrap board game, and the Rubik's Cube. 1998, 20 years ago, 47-year-old Dale Earnhardt finally wins NASCAR's biggest race, the Daytona 500, after 20 years of futility. Earnhardt won 76 races and 7 championships in his career, but his bad luck at Daytona was legendary. He, of course, would die on the final lap of the 2001 race. Finally, now we go to 2013, halfway across the world for this.
Ебать, а! Что это хуйня? Никит, что это такое? Бомбардировка, нахуй! Артподготовка, блин!
Don't speak Russian, but I got a pretty good idea what they were saying there. That was a 20-meter meteor that strikes the atmosphere at 40,000 miles per hour and then explodes 18 miles above Chelyabinsk, Russia, briefly burning brighter than the sun and then detonating with a force equal to 30 Hiroshima bombs. About 1,500 people were injured in the blast, mostly from the estimated 7,000 buildings that had their windows blown out. No fatalities, though. That is your look back in history for today, February 15th, and I'm Donald Ding.
All right, Don, thank you so much. And before we let you go, I just want to mention you're following some breaking news out of Trumbull right now.
Yes, apparently Trumbull High School is dismissing early. The principal and the superintendent have said that that transportation is on the way to the school to dismiss the students early. A water neutralizing tank is apparently emanating some sort of foul odor that is causing the school to dismiss early. They did stress on their Twitter page that there is no danger, but certainly an unpleasant situation at the school.
Definitely. All right, you can get more on that at TrumbullTimes.com, and we'll be seeing Don a little bit later for Front Pages.
Thanks.
All right. Well, in other Trumbull news, Trumbull homeowners would get a small tax hike under a $169.6 million 2018-2019 budget proposal as recommended by First Selectman Vicky Tesoro. Now, that is about equal to $162 on a property assessed at $250,000. Now, Tesoro posted her budget proposal, which represents a 1.79% spending increase on the town's website over the weekend, and the Board of Finance will now begin its deliberations. Well, the Finance Board will then forward its own version of the budget to the Town Council by March 24th. Now, the bulk of the budget increase is allocated for the school system, which would receive a 3.1% funding increase, about $3 million under Tesoro's proposal. Now, the school board had requested a 4.1% funding hike. You can get a lot more on that budget proposal at TrumbullTimes.com. And longtime Stratford Council Clerk Carol Cabral is honored at Tuesday's council meeting for her years of service by Councilman Jim Connor and Mayor Laura Hoydick. Take a look.
Fidelity and devotion as both clerk in the office of the Register of Voters and as council clerk for the town of Stratford. In grateful recognition of the loyal and devoted public service rendered by Carol Cabral, I will serve with fidelity and devotion as a valued employee of the town of Stratford, both as clerk in the office of the Register of Voters and as council clerk. As evidence of sincere appreciation, this certificate has been issued pursuant to a direction of the town council acting on our behalf of our fellow townsmen, as enduring testimony to our unselfish service and the faithful discharge of a public trust. And witness whereas has caused the same to be subscribed, the corporate seal of the town of Stratford be affixed by its town council chairman on this 13th day of February 2018. Thank you, Carol.
And thanks so much to Melvin Mason of the Stratford Star for that video. In other local news in Ridgefield, the neighbors to a new baseball field off of Route 7 aren't likely to complain. Now, among them are William Henry, son of John and Rebecca Hawley, born April 18, 1835, and died April 18, 1880, as well as Civil War Sergeant Charles E. Jennings, who died March 27, 1865, at the age of 17. Now, another is George Washington Gilbert, who lived off of Florida Hill Road in Ridgefield in a house that collapsed around him over the years, and he was known as the Hermit of Ridgefield. He died in 1924. Well, those are the residents of the New Florida Cemetery, which dates back to 1835 and lies immediately south of that site, now designated for construction of a baseball field under a $1 a year, 25-year agreement that gives Ridgefield Little League use of that state-owned land through the town, which has a lease from the state. Now, the field site at the intersection of Route 7 and Simpog Turnpike was acquired by the state decades ago from the former Walpo woodworkers when they had plans to build a Super 7 expressway through that area. Well, Ridgefield Little League has high hopes and ambitions for that field there and has embarked on a capital campaign. A lot of clearing has already been done, and Little League expects that the field will be ready for the upcoming spring season. Now, the Ridgefield Graveyard Restoration Committee has some concerns about that field plan's impacts, but you can get more on that story at theridgefieldpress.com. And Wilton resident Ashley Fisher's pug Blake won an Award of Merit at the 142nd Annual Westminster Kennel Club All-Breed Dog Show in New York City earlier this week. Now, Fisher told the Wilton Bulletin that the Award of Merit is given to a dog whom the judge feels is worthy of a Best of Breed win. Well, the 20-month-old pug earned 3 available awards of merit in the Best Pug of Breed competition, which had 22 entrants. Now, the pug who actually won the Best in Breed this year, Fisher said, was a lovely representation of the breed. There's more on that story at wiltonbulletin.com. But let's start over to Frank Granito now for your Nutmeg Sports Update. Frank.
All right, Kate, let's start with boys basketball. Last night we were at Bridgeport Central High School, a big matchup with immediate FCIAC playoff implications. The Hilltoppers hosting the Black Knights of Stanford High. Just separated by a game in the standings, 4th and 5th entering play, and what a night it was for the Hilltoppers. They would cruise on their way to a 74-60 victory. Big games from DJ Fulton and Raekwon Riley as the seniors led the way for the Hilltoppers. Let's take a look at the highlights from last night.
Couple of quick steals, and just like that, a 3-point Hilltoppers advantage.
You see how aggressive here comes the trap for Central.
Great work by Bell, swinging through defense out to Jackson on the wing, and it's a good 3-point shot, tied at 9. For Fulton, back to Riley, and waiting behind him to catch that one, but unable to finish was Fleming.
You know, if you're Stanford, you can't allow him to get his own rebound like that.
Williams open in the corner, 3-pointer is good!
They also have to look back because Central's moving in transition real quick. Even if Stanford scores, they are flying up the floor.
Fulton, pull-up jumper. Nice touch.
Silky smooth from DJ Fulton.
Bell with the rebound, high off the glass, and that shot good.
All right, with the win, Central now moves into 4th place in the conference. Stanford still safe at the moment, sitting in 5th. With all the other shakedowns last night, Trumbull losing and Wilton winning, Wilton jumps up into 8th. Trumbull falls all the way down to 9th. They're on the outside looking in for the boys tournament. In the girls bracket, Fairfield Ludlow unable to get the victory at Fairfield Ward. They fall 41-38. That combined with the Darien win over West Hill puts the Blue Wave into the FCIAC tournament, and that sends the Falcons packing until the state tournament this year. We're going to be live at Wilton High School on Saturday for 2 of the 4 quarterfinal games. At 12 o'clock, we will see, Wilton and Ridgefield. And then after that, you have got Staples and Norwalk battling it out in the quarterfinals. Should be a lot of fun. 12-2 the times for those tip-offs. That'll do it for this Nutmeg Sports Update. I'm back at 2 o'clock with Kevin Coleman. We'll break down everything you need to know from last night and for the upcoming weekend. For now, back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. And we are going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Dang joins me, and we're going to preview our front pages this week after this. Set sail on a summertime adventure with Sail Away Sailing School. Located in Captain's Cove Seaport in Bridgeport, we're sailing June 18th through August 10th. 2 sessions offered daily, Monday through Friday for ages 9 to 15. Have fun, make friends, learn to sail. Visit teamsailaway.com.
At Pamby Motors, we're not worried about being the biggest dealership. We're focused on being the best. We're dedicated to giving you the best experience we can. The Pamby Motors team is here to help you choose the right Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram in a friendly, pressure-free environment. And right now, during Ram Truck Month, get up to $14,000 off on all in-stock 2017 Ram 1500 pickups. Come in and see us for details. Visit Pamby Motors, Route 7 in Ridgefield, PambyZone.com.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Baystar and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866.
Welcome back to this Thursday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, joined now by Donald Eng, our Trumbull Times editor, to preview the front pages of all of our community newspapers this week. Don, happy to have you, and what are you looking at first?
Well, right now I have the Darien Times, and Darien, like most towns, is right in the middle of their budget season. The Board of Ed has okayed an operating budget increase of 2.34%. Of course, in these towns, they go through a months-long process to get their budget approved. Also, don't know why, but I got the biggest kick out of that Ash Wednesday photo of the Catholics there getting their ashes at the train station. So I thought that was that was really cute.
It's something they do every year. Yeah, it's pretty neat. All right, well, I'm taking a look at the Ridgefield Press this week. A lot of news, including budget news. Schools eyeing a 3.1% budget increase. That's a bit of a concern because they are eyeing a state cap of 2.5% in overall increases. Also, NBC's Olympic broadcast having a lot of roots in Ridgefield, in addition to an Olympic athlete in the luge competition, also a broadcaster from Ridgefield, part of the team there with NBC. Paul Roach is retiring after 4 decades as the director of Parks and Recreation. He's had a long career in Ridgefield there. And just kind of some fun news from around town. Sherlock the squirrel, who was found injured, has now made a full recovery. A resident found him with a nose injury, likely from being hit by a car. He was brought to Wildlife in Crisis in Weston and has made a full recovery.
I'm trying to think of the situation where a car would hit a squirrel on the nose.
I know, right? I mean, he got away pretty well, all things
that could
considered,
have
right?
been a lot worse. I have the Milford Mirror in front of me here, and we have some of the news in Milford. An Asian supermarket expected to open in the spring. Also, more controversially, the Meadowside apartment plan heading to court. That is a 12-unit affordable housing plan that's being proposed in Milford. And also, just a great kind of photo. It's titled Serenity. That just the dock there going off into the distance, low tide, calm water, just what we need here on a drizzly late winter day.
All right, well, I'm taking a look at the New Canaan Advertiser this week. One of the lead photos being New Canaan senior wrestler Nick Cortman celebrating after winning in his weight class during the FCAC Wrestling Championships. Of course, those aired live on the HAN network. The superintendent in New Canaan saying that some more time is needed to consider later school start times. That's been a big issue in a lot of towns recently. Also, police saying that their 1926 police headquarters needs some serious renovations. That and a lot more in the New Canaan Advertiser this week.
And in the Monroe Courier, the overall budget mill rate could be decreasing in Monroe. Some folks getting a tax cut there. That's kind of unusual, but good news there for Monroe residents. Also, a latest phone scam on that's being targeted at Fairfield County people. And then toward the bottom of the page there, First Friday, a night for fellowship and sharing a brew. Faith on Tap, happening in Monroe.
All right, well, taking a look at the Reading pilot this week, Reston residents getting heated over the issue of police staffing. Recent Board of Selectmen meeting, a lot of people came out. There's been some calling for reducing the police staff, others saying that's a bad idea. So much more on that story in the Reading pilot.
And in the Weston Forum, Weston residents of Monroe getting a tax cut, possibly. Weston's proposed budget, 2.65% there. That First Selectman Chris Spalding is proposing $13.1 million operating budget for Weston. That would be about, as I said, 2.6%, or about $337,000 more than the current fiscal year.
All right, taking a look at the Trumbull Times this week. Don, your paper, just the end of a really horrible story in Trumbull, and that Kevin Sutherland's murderer was sentenced to 35 years. Kevin was a Trumbull native living in Washington, D.C., and he was brutally stabbed and murdered on the Metro, I believe.
Yes.
And so that case has now come to a close.
Yes, and also there's we have some more information on that going up on the Trumbull Times later on today. We have some video of that, some of the victim impact statements. Just a heartbreaking story all around.
It was a heartbreak. It is a horrible story, but I'm glad there's at least some justice for them now. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, Vicky Tesoro seeking a 1.79% spending hike in the budget so far. Another suspect charged in that October Canoe Brook robbery, and a Trumbull photographer winning an award in the Fairfield Museum's photo show.
And we have the Shelton Herald here. Nice story. A woman reunited with her lost cat that went missing 6 months ago. They were finally reunited after the cat had gone missing. Also, a fourth grader is uniting the community to support heart health. That's a Mohegan School fourth graders. Sophie Monahan, Lisa Montero, Charlotte Hayslip, and Allison Silvestro hosting a fundraiser. And we have another news on hunger in the valley. You know, like people aren't. We think of hunger as being like a developing world problem. In many cases in the valley, food insecurity is what they call it, and it's a significant issue in a lot of towns in the valley.
Right. All right. Well, I'm taking a look at the Stratford Star this week, and veteran Sterling House director Mary Hardy being remembered. She just passed away, and she was instrumental to the growth of that Sterling House Community Center. Also, some people excited about this news: Stratford getting a state grant to purchase more land to add to the Roosevelt Forest, and Laura Hoydick, the mayor, hosting some office hours coming up. She wants to hear from residents there.
And finally, for me, I have the Wilton Bulletin. First off, the state has issued some grades to the various school districts in town. Wilton's saw theirs drop a little bit. Also, speaking of schools, the Finance Board has some questions about the school budget for the Board of Ed. That's always, as you know, this time of year, it's always budget-related news. Governor Malloy visits Wilton to tout some business growth in town. And finally, the public gets an opportunity to speak out on the town's plan of conservation and development there. So that's the news from Wilton.
All right, taking a look at the Easton Courier. Voters there approving the South Park bond payment, and an Easton Democrat announcing that she plans to run for Connecticut's 135th congressional district. And finally, Don, we have arts and leisure. Just taking a look, if you're craving something sweet, we have a great recipe for chocolate lava cakes. We also, a Bethel author sharing more on Buddhist teachings, an interesting piece there, and of course a lot more inside of arts and leisure this week. Those are all our front pages.
That's all of them. Yeah, lots of news as always
going
on in the region.
All right, and of course we do have Yankee Fisherman coming up at 1 o'clock today. John Kovach is out today, but it's last week's episode, which is great. So if you missed it, check that out at 1 o'clock. Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock, and we're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break, but we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.